Hi everybody. I had finished my swap cards for a swap that I was in for the new online exclusive that went live this week. And I thought I would do a quick video and show you my card and a couple of different versions of it. This is the online exclusives product list, which I will just show you a little bit of. There's a new suite with some new floral paper. I like the Just Because Words of Beauty, just because it has words that you can cut out on your die cut machine. And that's a suite. Includes paper, jewels, dies, and the stamps. 2 stamp sets. Paper. And then this is a new hobby one. It's called Hobby Haven. And all of the designer paper have different hobbies on them. Like crafting and I don't even remember, travel, I think. And then this is the one that we're going to be using today. And this is called Friendly Foliage. I fell in love with this sample card that they showed on the brochure. And it took me a little bit to figure out how they had done the die cut. So I will show you how to use the stamp set with the dies. And then this is cute, the little kissing booth. They have some corners, which would be really nice if you scrapbook. And what other one? There was another one that I really... Oh, this outdoor adventure one I thought was very cool with the animals. And I think, yeah. And then I just wanted to mention, I have got my blog going again, and I do a project sheet for all my cards now. And you can go to my blog, enter a comment, please, and tell me which card you like. I did it kind of in 3 different ways. Pretty much the same products, but it's just a little different. And then here's the measurements and the instructions, and then all the products that I used. And my printer is not doing the best, but so this doesn't look the greatest, but all the information is there that you need. And then if you want to go to the YouTube video, I have the QR code up here. My blog is down here. Here. Email. So check that out, please. Then I wanted to show you that Stampin' Up! Has decided to get rid of the old stamp cases. And those are the ones like, I'll grab one off my shelf, like this, that, you know, were more like a DVD type case. And I always stored my dies in my stamp case. If it was a die set that specifically went to that stamp set, if it was one that was more generic, like say nested squares, circles, etc., I store them like in a basket, label at the top on a magnetic card in a little pocket so that I can just kind of scroll through them if I'm looking for one. Now the new pockets, I mean, they have their advantage, I guess, because you can store a lot more sets in a smaller space. But I'm struggling because I really miss being able to look at the spine of my stamp set and just see at a glance, you know, what I'm looking for. So I found this. I'm trying to work with it, but I found this. I found this at Target, and it's a adjustable storage box was $10. There's no lid, but it will expand wide enough that I can fit the new pockets two in a, you know, side by side, and have like two stacks. So I could kind of put like all my holiday ones on one side and all my other ones on the other, or separate them by just greetings on one side, ones that just have, you know, words, and then ones that have, you know, shapes and stuff like that. So my problem is my little shelf unit that I use, the shelves are not adjustable enough for me to get more than two of those little storage boxes on it. And when we built my craft room, we built it based on the size of the DVD cases. So I'm struggling just a little bit with it, but I'm gonna try to make it work. Okay, so here's my packet. Friendly Foliage, this is the stamp set. They're larger, a lot taller than the stamp cases were. And I just put this on to show that I have dies in here also. So right now, they come into, like, this was two separate packets, but I like to have my dies in with my stamps, especially, like I said, if they, you know, I need this to be with the stamps because this die cuts out this stamp. So it's folded in here. Your stamps still look the same. They're still on the plastic sheet, and they have the little cover, which you need to keep so they don't stick to your paper. And I'm going to pull off, most of my stamps I already have on the blocks. That's why it looks like there aren't very many in here. But I'm going to take this little one off, and I had not put it on a block, but I need to, if I can get the block out of the little. And we're going to make our own designer paper edging, and I'll show you how to do that. And then here's the dies, and you can see I have these taped, but I'll show you how I put them together. And I use this Post-it note tape, which doesn't seem to leave a lot of sticky residue on your card that you're taping this to when you put it through the die machine. So, and you can use it more than once. So you can see I've used it several times because I've got like little cardstock pieces on there. But so we're going to use this. I'm going to pull it out. I'm not using any of these, but you very well could if you wanted to add, you know, more to your card. But for now, we're not. We're going to set this aside. I also lose this easier because I stack stuff on top of it and I can't find it. So let's set that aside. Now, the first thing, I'll show you the card we're making. I have 3. Okay. On this card, I stamped, and you can see I've stamped quite a bit. I should have changed my paper, but I was too busy working on this. So on this one, I used the cloud cover ink, which Stampin' Up! Is not providing in the big cases. They only did to demos if they wanted to take a chance on it, because the formula of ink is not working well with this foam, the foam pads. Now, I have not noticed anything wrong with mine. Mine is still great. But what they suggested to do, and I've used this quite a bit, so mine, like I said, mine's still good, is to take one of the uninked pads, get the refill, and then just ink this up with your cloud cover ink, and then, you know, use that. So that's their suggestion as to using that ink. Now, on this one, I used the cloud cover, and then I embossed both my designer paper and my second cardstock. So I have the Secret Sea card base, and then I used the cloud cover cardstock, and you can't see very well, but I did stamp along the side here. But then I embossed it, so you can't see it as well. But there's a little, you can see a little faint image there. And then I just layered these, and then I used the little, this little stamp for just a little bit of decoration on the inside. You very well could have cut a piece of the designer paper to put on the inside, a little strip along the top, bottom, or the side. But I decided I wanted to get the most cards I could out of this one piece of paper, and it was 6 by 6. So I cut these at 2 inches. That gave me 3 pieces. But the first thing I did was I cut the paper off at the bottom. So I cut it at 4 1/4 all the way across. So I ended up with, and then I cut what was remaining at 2 inches. So 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches. So I ended up with 4 strips. And then I cut a square off of the one that I cut off the bottom. I cut to, to the same width. I think this is 4 1/4, I think. No, that's not. That is, let me measure real quick. That is, well, it is 4 1/4. Okay, so 4 1/4. So I took the strip at the bottom and cut it to 4 1/4, and then it's a little bit narrower here, but that's okay. And I don't even, it's this one. This is the strip that was at the bottom, but you don't even really notice it that much, that it's, shorter than, narrower than this panel. So then on the next card, I use the Secret Sea. So here's the light ink and here's the dark ink. Now on this one, I didn't emboss this panel or this layer. I only embossed the designer paper. And on the inside, I did a little different. I stamped off once. So this is not this dark ink. It's one layer off because I stamped it off, see right here on my scrap paper. And then my third card, the little squares that I ended up, because I had made, I had to make these for a swap. So I ended up with 3 or 4 of these little squares that was left over. And I just stacked them on top of each other. I embossed them and then just glued them on. And you cannot really tell that that's not one strip of paper. And then I didn't emboss anything except that. And then I stamped off once and then stamped this on the inside. So each card is just a little bit different. I did stamp on the border on all 3 that you can see, not as well on this embossed. But this is the Distressed Tile Embossing Folder, which is now retired, but it's one of my very favorites. And I just thought it lent some kind of a vintage look to this card. So that's why I used it. And that's what we're going to make. We're going to make one of these. So I have my pieces. I mean, very simple. It doesn't use a lot of products. This is my panel that's going to go here, and I wanted more of the Secret Sea to show, so I cut it smaller than a normal panel is usually, say, if this is 4 1/2 or 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, you would usually use like 4 by 5 1/4 or something. You just take a quarter off, but I cut this way down, so because I wanted more to show. Then here's my strip, and you could either use it, this side, or you could use it more of a neutral side, which I did on my swap card. I used the neutral side, and I didn't emboss it on my swap card. I just used it just like this. but we're going to emboss it because I just like that look. This paper is from Gallery Blooms, I think it was called. Let me look on my project sheet here. Beautiful Gallery designer paper. And some of their floral on those are stunning. And then we're going to stamp our, we're going to do our stamping first. So let's move these pieces out of the way. We need to stamp our second layer. We need to stamp this, and then we're going to die cut it, and I'll show you how to line up that die. And then we're going to stamp our, oh, I forgot to cut an inside piece. Oh, here it is. And there's my inside piece. And then this is for our greeting. And then we're going to banner cut it with our little tails on the end. So let's get, and I want to do it, I want to stamp it in the Secret Sea. I just like the darker a little better. So first we're going to stamp our greeting. And I have a small piece here that measures 3/4 by 2.5 inches. I just want to have enough to make my V border. Make sure that when you're using the photopolymer stamps for the first time, you wash them off. I'm going to move this down a little bit so I can see better without sticking my head in the camera. See if I can get this centered on here. It is hard to get something centered when you are on video because you don't want to stick your head in the camera. Did I get it? Nope, that's crooked, so we'll turn it over. That's why paper has two pieces, two sides, I mean. Move it down here a little bit. Am I still in the camera? Yeah, I'll move it down here even farther. And sometimes, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, when you trim your paper in the trimmer, you sometimes get just a little bit of an edge on the other side. Just take your bone folder and go down the side, and it smooths that down. And then nobody knows which side you cut, you know, which was the bottom and which was the top. Because sometimes I can just feel like that tiny edge, and it's like, well, let's smooth this down. Okay, let's try this a little closer. Thinking of you. And I had a hard time even getting this on the block straight because it's cursive and it just doesn't look straight. Okay, it's a little better. It's still a little bit crooked, but that's okay. And then we're going to take our scissors. We're going to cut to the middle. And if you have the tailored tag punch, you could use that to make your tails. And then we're going to cut from the other side. And that gives us just a little V, which they call a banner. There. Just a little banner. I think I'll cut this off just a little bit. Okay. And I could trim that a little bit, you know, skinnier, but that's okay. It's okay like it is. Okay, we'll set this aside. Then I'm going to stamp my inside with this greeting that says, "You're on my mind and in my heart." Okay. And then we can take, if you want to decorate it with the little, I don't know what it is. It looks like little leaves or little flowers. We could do that. Grab that. And you just lay this down. And and then pick it up with your block so that you don't distort, because these will stretch. And I don't have it all the way on the... Okay, and I'm going to stamp off and then stamp. And since I stamped that a little close to the top, I probably will just put 2 on here. Now I could go down here and put 1 at the bottom also. And there's my inside. Okay, now we're going to stamp the flower, or the big center focal piece of our card. And I like to turn it over upside down and put the ink on like that, since it's a larger image. And then we're done with this color ink. Beautiful. Set that aside. Okay, now, and then I'll stamp real quick our cardstock that we're going to make into like a designer paper. We could do this all over the paper or just on the one edge, which I just did it on the one edge. So we're going to ink this up. And we're just going to go over here, over here, over here. See, I'm not being real precise, just trying to go down the edge. So we're done with that. Okay, so we're going to take our die piece, and the first thing you want to do is line up, and let's set this aside for a second. What you want to do is you want to line this up first. So we're going to line this circle and try to get over the top as best you can. And because this is a straight line here, you can kind of see that you have the same border along the edge here. And I tape up here so that it's not in the way when I go to put my next piece on, okay? And it goes with the flat side at the bottom. And I'm going to line this up with the stamped image on the inside. I'm going to have a small little border at the bottom. It's going to cut right above that line. So I'm going to tape this into place there and here. And then we will die cut this. And then I have, what did I do with the designer paper piece? It's up here. I'm going to emboss this. And I already have my small machine set up for the die cutting, and the embossing folder will not fit through my small embossing machine, so I'm going to run it through my electronic, which I use when I'm doing classes and stuff. So we're going to die cut this. Let me get my pieces. We need a 1 plate. Somebody accidentally cut into this, but it still works. We need a 2 and another 2. And when you put these in the machine, you don't line them all up like this. You stagger them. Okay. Boy, I cut just the right size that goes through there. Okay. I don't usually have any trouble getting my plates to go through. I know some people do, but they try to put them all in at one time. And see, you hear that where it's kind of crackling, and that's good. That's what you want to hear when you're die cutting. Okay. Close this up. We're done with this. Sorry, that was kind of loud. And then we will take this off. And depending on what size you cut, you know, this panel out, you could just cut this off and use this for your greeting. But I had already cut a small piece off of my scraps so that I could put my kit together before my video started. And I just cut these pieces off is what I do. I save my scraps. So I just cut that off, and I can stick that in my scrap pile because I can get a couple of greetings off of that. And then I will poke these out later. Usually what I do is I have this glass mat, and I will just drop this on that glass mat or on my desktop here. And all these little pieces usually just fall right out. I don't usually have to sit and poke them. So we'll put this aside so we don't lose it. Put this in the trash. And then I'm going to emboss this piece real quick with my distressed tile embossing folder. Isn't that gorgeous? Just love it. And I probably should have used not a retired one, but you could use any embossing folder you wanted for this. I mean, what is your favorite? Use that. And another tip is do not go back and forth in the machine like I do sometimes. I will go back and forth if I'm die cutting two pieces of paper at a time. But do not do that with your embossing folders because it can mess up the fold here, the spine. Okay, let's set that aside and see, look how pretty that is. This is the back side, the debossed where it's pushing down, and then this is where it's popping up. And that's the side we're going to use. I mean, I could make it, I guess, with this side. Let's see what this looks like. Let me see which I like better. Anybody on today? Nope, I don't see anybody on. Well, I think I will maybe do it this way since that's the one version I don't have shown, so we'll do that. And I get these little glue bottles on Amazon, and they work really good for getting glue where you want it. Getting just a small amount of glue. And I like to glue embossed pieces because sometimes they don't, stick as well since they're embossed. So if you use glue, it seems to do a better. If you get a little close to the corner, just take the tip and pull it out. And I could have distressed this too by just taking my scissors and going along. Especially on an embossed piece like this, if you use your scissors, it'll like crunch it up there or pull it up really nicely and look like it was you know, a vintage piece of paper that you found. The glue, whoops, the glue gives you just a little bit of extra time to get your paper straight. Okay. And then we're going to adhere that to the front. We'll put this on too while we're at it. You don't need a lot of glue. And that's the one thing people usually do, they use too much, and that's why they have glue seeping out the sides, or they get too close to the edge. Okay. Now we could have added a piece of this blue, this cloud cover, under this layer, and that would have given it even a more finished look. Depending on if you're mailing, because if you're mailing, you know, you don't like a lot of thick layers just because it could get it kicked back by the post office. And then let's put this one on. Now, if you're handing the card to somebody, go crazy. Put as many layers on there as you want and pop up as many things as high as you want, because I love popping up stuff. Okay, we're going to center this. Okay. Now we're going to take our mini dimensionals, which I need to get a new sheet. When I'm looking for the big ones, I always find the little ones. When I'm looking for the little ones, I always find my big sheet. Okay, we're going to stick these on here, here. We need some down towards the bottom. And these holes are big, I mean, not holes, but these, the floral part is big enough that we can fit a few, like right there, up here, and then one kind of towards the middle to support the middle a little bit. We'll put one right there. I think that's enough, and we'll take your pick tool and pop those off. Whoops. And I'm not sure how I got this one over here, but we'll stick it on. Why not? Some people take a marker and mark, or a pen and mark down the middle of their rows of, and then they can tell when they have the tops off. I can just tell they're not shiny anymore. So we're going to center this here. And then our jewels we're going to use are the Charming Shimmer Faceted Dots. But I guess we should put our greeting on first. Now I'm going to glue this end, and I'm going to put a big dimensional here. Let me grab a sheet if I can find one. Like I said, I only find them when I'm looking for the other ones. We only need one, so we're going to put one here. Which was the right side? Okay, I think this is the... So we want the dimensional on the pointy side, and then our glue is going to go right here. And I keep this rubber band on there to stick the cap under if I have a lot of gluing to do. Take the back off of this one piece. And we're going to stick this about right here. I want just a little bit of my white down here showing. And then we'll put our dimensionals, or not dimensionals, our embellishment. We'll take 3. I don't know where my other, take your pick tool is. It's got the putty end. It works a little better to get the, and this you just roll up until you have a little putty coming out the end. And then when you get ready to put it away, you unscrew, like you don't want it tight because it'll just keep oozing out. So you unscrew that back off before you put it back away. So let's put a small one up here, maybe 2 small ones up here, and then a big one down here. What do you think? So do you like the, tell me which one you like better. Okay, so this is the one we just did. Let me clean up just a little bit here. So this is our one we just made today. See, I'm in the camera here. And then, where did I put the other ones? I cannot believe how easy it is to lose things when you're doing a video. Really? Really? I know they have to be like within arm's reach because I didn't get up and go anywhere. Well, I guess we just get to see this one right now because I don't know what I did with the other cards. I mean, they have to be here, but I sure don't see them. Anyway, oh, here they are. It's where you can't see the forest for the trees. Okay, so this is the one we made today. One we made today. This one is the same as this, except we used the other side of the designer paper. And then this one, well, I guess this one is like this one, but this is the narrow strip that I used on this one, and this is the wider strip. And then this one uses the, everything was embossed. And I used this cloud cover ink instead of the Secret Sea ink on this one. Is that? Oh, this is the one. I know what this was. I knew I had differences. This one was the one that I used the leftovers from cutting all the strips. So I cut the 4 1/4 piece off at the bottom of the 6-inch first, sat it aside, then I cut my 2, 2, 2. So there's 4, I get 4 cards out of that one 6x6 piece of paper. And then little squares, or actually I could get 5, because I take the square, the little square that's left over, and that is this one. Nope. Which one has the squares? See, I can't even tell now. Oh, it's this one. These are squares that are just glued, 3 squares glued on. And, I mean, it just looks like a strip. It just looks like the same as this. So those, I mean, you can still use those and make a card with those squares. And so since we were covering most of it up with our focal point, this die cut, I mean, you just really don't even notice that that's not a full piece. And then you could take some Wink of Stella and shimmer up the leaves if you wanted, or some of the foliage if you wanted. We could have added some of the other die cuts you know, tucked in if we wanted to. But this is a relatively quick and easy card, and I think it came out really pretty. So, thanks for watching. Please leave me a thumbs up and a comment which one you like the best. Just, you know, all embossed with the cloud cover, or just the Secret Sea. Yeah. All kinds of different versions, and we really didn't do anything different except turn the paper over, or, you know, emboss more or less of the card. But thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up, share my video if you can, leave a comment. There will be a, as I said before, you can get the printable project sheet on my blog, and I'll have that linked on my video also. And these are the original 3 cards. I don't have the one we just made today, but it has all the products I used, and all the measurements and instructions of putting it together. So thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time.